So my name is Matthew Prosperie. I am from St. Anne. I grew up in Berg. I'm the youngest of 6 children. I was homeschooled up until 5th grade. My mom taught me. And then I moved on to St. Francis. And then I went to Vanderbilt Catholic, where I just graduated last year. I ran track over there, and I love photography. Well, for one thing, I just love the land. That bayou smell that some people don't like, I actually like. And just, it's summer right now, and the hot, humid air, I find that comforting, and it's good. It's a good place to be. And then just the people themselves. They're so nurturing and just a family environment. Especially, I'm going to get to go to Golden Meadow this summer, and I've already experienced it a little bit. Just the way that the people over there care for you, they're attentive to your needs, and they really want to help you. That's what I love about the people down here. It's just such a family environment. There aren't any things that separate us, and there are more things that unite us together. And then the culture down here, it just sets me on fire. It gets me so happy. It makes me feel like I'm in heaven, really. Last semester at Seminary, we had this band called Pelican 212. They used to be known as L'Angelus. They came and played at Seminary, and it just made me so happy to hear them play, because just something about the Cajun music and the Zydeco that it makes me so happy to hear. And my grandfather, actually, he owns the Jolly Inn, and it was a big part of my life growing up that I would go to the Jolly Inn, and we would hear him play with the Cajun band. He would play accordion, and there was something special about that. I didn't realize it at that point, but that's become such a big part of my life now. And I'm playing accordion now. I'm learning accordion because I love the culture so much, and because I want to be as much of a part of the culture as possible. So I grew up in a Catholic family. We would pray the rosary pretty much every night for as long as I could remember, until I got to like 10 or 11 years old. Then the family started growing up. I was the youngest, so by the time I was 10 or 11, things started to get a little bit busy. But I had that firm foundation in my faith, where we would pray the rosary every night, and we would go to Mass on Sundays, and sometimes even daily Mass. So I knew that my faith was important, but I never really went outside of that personal faith, or I didn't really share that faith with a community. But that really changed in 9th grade, whenever I went to Steubenville. I just had this great experience in adoration, where God reached out to me, and through adoration, whenever Bishop Sam Jacobs walked around the Civic Center in adoration, and I just felt that Jesus was really there, and I felt that he was real in a way that I had never experienced up to that point. And then from that experience, just set off this chain of events that I know that God was watching very closely and leading me through those events. Because I went to another retreat after that, where I just established this community with some people in my faith that I didn't have before. And from that, I was able to go to share my faith with others, and to really reach out, and to I have my actions proclaim my faith. So I would start doing more community service projects, or just to in general try to be a witness, especially in school, a witness for my faith in school. So that brought me to 11th grade. I just kind of kept on progressing in my faith and deepening my relationship with God through prayer, to the point where senior year in high school, I had gotten to the point where I was pretty strong in my faith. I knew that God was real, and that other people needed to know that, and that I needed to proclaim that to others. So I had the great idea in senior year of high school. I thought that I was going to go in and really make a difference senior year of high school. I wasn't going to stick around just with my faith community. I was going to go outside of that community, and I was going to reach out to others. Some of my other friends who I'd sort of grown distant from over the years. I wanted to reach out to them, and I wanted to just be with them because I knew that as I was struggling, so they were struggling, and I wanted to reach out to them, and I genuinely wanted to help them and to make a difference in their life. But that didn't work out how I planned it. It was just one thing after another. Senior year was very stressful, academically, and just with the daily wear and tear of life. You just get worn down over time. And I think a lot of my friends felt the same thing. A lot of high schoolers, I think, go through the same thing. You get senioritis. It's just that wear and tear. So by the time I got like halfway through senior year, I was so tired and so worn down that I didn't want to reach out to others anymore. I just wanted to do what I needed to do. I wanted to get what I needed to do done, and I didn't want to try to talk to God with others, or talk about God with others. I didn't want to do that anymore because I realized that I just can't take care of my own problems and then also help others. So I just had to do my own thing. And so that was halfway through senior year, and in the spring is whenever track starts, and I'm big into track. It's one of my favorite sports. So again, I didn't want to reach out to others. I just wanted to be myself. So all of the track season, I was like, God, I'm not going to try to bring you up in conversation, which I had previously wanted to do. That was my plan, but I was like, I can't do that. That's not me. So I did my thing. I did my thing at practice, and from that point on, whenever I made that decision to stop, trying to be something that I wasn't, something changed in me. I was more myself, and God was able to work in me in ways that I couldn't do myself. I was trying so hard to make God do things in my life, but it just wasn't working. God wanted me to just realize something very special, that I can be myself and that God can work through me. So I didn't talk about God, but yet one day, as before a race, as my coach was stretching me, he just asks me, "Matt, are you going to be a priest?" And so this came as a shock because I didn't talk about God at all. I did what I needed to do. I ran, and he asked me this question just out of nowhere. I was like, and I had been thinking about it throughout all of high school pretty much, because other people had asked him that before. My friends, they'd be like, "Matt, would you want to be a priest whenever you grow up?" I'd be like, "Yeah, it would be cool." But on the inside, I was really like, "Yeah, that would be awesome." But I didn't want to let that on because, people treat you differently. Or that's what I thought. But whenever my coach asked me that question, and other things that my teammates had just seen in me, seeing good things in me that I'd always tried to be. But the moment that I just let God work in me, in my own life, in my own personality, in the way that He uniquely created me, was the moment that actually started happening. So that was a very key realization for me in my vocational journey, because it showed me that I don't want to bring my joy to others. I don't want to bring what I have to offer as much as I want to bring God Himself. And that was confirmed throughout many different experiences. I led pep rallies. I was what they called Captain Spirit at high school my senior year, and I compared the homilies, the pep rallies themselves, to homilies, because they're sort of the same thing. I was trying to get the high school hyped up about something that I was hyped up about, which is I really did love the school. I love Vanderbilt Catholic, and I wanted to get all the rest of the high schoolers who are there with me excited about the football team or the basketball team or the volleyball team, whoever it was that we were celebrating that day. And so I compared that to a homily, because that's what a priest does. He tries to get his congregation fired up and passionate about the very person that he's passionate about. He's passionate about Jesus Christ, and he tries to share that with others. So that's sort of like all these things are just coming together in my senior year, especially showing me that, okay, I could be a priest, and I want to be a priest, and other people see it in me as well. And just that moment, especially whenever my coach saw it, was a key moment, because like I said, it was something that he created me to do, and it was something that filled me with joy to be able to do that, to see that, wow, I can be myself. I can be myself and bring God to others. Not my own joy, not the thing that I like try to do on my own, but God works in me to bring God himself, to bring himself to others. So that was a very special experience for me, just to realize that. So that experience, along with all these other confirmations, in prayer especially, just all this peace, led me in March of senior year to make the decision to go to seminary right out of high school. And I'll never forget that night. I was actually at this discernment group called Ignite, and I was listening to Rock Gurnan talk, and he was talking about prayer, something unrelated to discernment, or like indirectly related to discernment. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm just listening to him, and all of a sudden I just get this feeling like, don't go to Nichols for a year, which is what I was planning on doing, but just go straight into seminary. And all of a sudden, like, all this peace just floods me and all this joy. And I remember telling God, like, I will do that. Like, and I will be happy to do that. And I left that night, the meeting, and I went straight home and I told my mom. She said, okay, So it was a beautiful experience, that March, just with all the things that happened during senior year, that led me to that moment where I could own up to it and say, this is what I'm going to do. So that's how it happened, March of senior year. And I just finished my first year of seminary, and it was a great experience so far, and I feel like I'm going to continue on and see wherever God takes me from here. So, in order to share with you my experience about seminary, I'd like to just read a quote that will hopefully shed some light on it. This is a quote from Pope John Paul II. He says, "Man cannot live without love. He remains a being that is incomprehensible for himself. His life is senseless if love is not revealed to him, if he does not encounter love, if he does not experience it and make it his own, if he does not intimately participate in it." I think seminary has really provided me with the ability to encounter others, and through that encounter to get to know myself. There's an area of human formation. There's 4 areas of formation at St. Ben's: human, intellectual, spiritual, and pastoral. But St. Ben's is very heavy on human formation, and that's the one that's impacted me the most. Because it provided me the opportunity to get to know myself, again, through encountering others. You're there with 138 other guys who are journeying to love God more, and who are trying to find out who they are ultimately as humans, as men, and who they're called to be, and how to love. And that can only happen, as Pope John Paul II says, through encountering others, through encountering love. And really, I've had several experiences where I'll just be and just talking with a guy, and there's that time when you have to, like, be vulnerable with a person, to share something that you're struggling with, because that's scary sometimes to talk about your struggles. But your brothers are there at seminary to help you with that. They're there to shed light, their own personal light, and to love you in the area that you're struggling, even in your own weakness. They're there to love you there. And so that's been my experiences. Whenever my brothers, they see me in my weakness, and they're able to shed light and say, like, this is what you are experiencing right now, and they're able to shed light on that, and they're able to love me. It teaches me so much about who I am. As Pope John Paul II said, a man is incomprehensible to himself if he does not encounter love. And so whenever you're vulnerable, whenever you share your struggles and your joys as well, whenever you have that community with 138 other guys at seminary, it's a great environment to get to know yourself. It's a great environment for me to get to know myself. And that's pretty much the biggest highlight of my time, my 1 year at St. Ben's so far, is that I've gotten to know myself a lot more through these encounters with others, through sharing my struggles and my joys, and just encountering my brothers as well in love. A whole lot. Questions of, is this going to fulfill my desires? Questions of, am I worthy? Are there obstacles in my heart? Do I really want this? Is this going to fulfill me? Yeah, and all these questions and fears, and I think just so many voices in my head, and I'm not sure how exactly God is going to take me from here, or where He's going to take me from here, but I do know that God has called me to seminary, and that He's calling me back to seminary, to a journey of walking with Him, to figure out who He calls me to be. It's not something that I have to look so much forward into the future. I'm not going to be ordained until, if I am ordained, until 7 years from now. So that's a long time in the future. So I don't know where God is calling me to. I'm just right here, right now, walking with God, asking Him to reveal my own desires to me, because He created my desires. Who did He create me to be? How did He create me to be happy and joy-filled? How did He create me to love? These are all questions that are going through my head. Am I going to love, one person in marriage? Am I going to love many people in the priesthood? How is He calling me to love? Is it this exclusive love that would be in marriage, or is it this so inclusive love of so many people that would be in the priesthood? Just all these questions come to mind, but also at times excitement at the priesthood, especially in my heart, that I feel excitement, especially whenever I'm learning more about the priesthood. Like at seminary, every time I learn some theological truth about what's really happening whenever the priest celebrates a sacrament, how Jesus Christ is really present, and how the Holy Spirit enters in with power and all this majesty, that excites me, because I'm going to get to participate in that, hopefully, God willing. That excites me, and that just fills my heart with joy and with peace. And thinking about how I'll get to help people and to bring God with them, and how there's a particular grace in the priesthood that will help me to do that, that excites me, because I'll get to be myself and bring God to others. That's a beautiful thing that gets me excited and gives me hope. But yeah, there are also these questions at times of doubting that, am I worthy? Is this going to fulfill me? But in those times, I cling to the hope that God has given me, that yes, I have called you. That yes, you do see these things, I do see these things as good, and as I see joy-filled priests, I see priests who are giving up their lives, and I see that as very attractive. Like, that's awesome. I want to do that. These are all things that come to mind, and I just have to hope in the times whenever I doubt, and just ask God over and over again, are you calling me to be a priest? Where should I go from here?